Hi folks, this is Abdel Abu Faris. I would like to share with you this app. Basically, it is a UI dashboard I've been working on for the last 7 months or so. It has been my weekend project. The goal of this app is to provision resources to AWS, Azure, as well as GCP. For now, I am still working on AWS module and I would like to show you what I've done so far. A quick background about this app architecture. As you can see here, on the back end, I am leveraging Lambda. Lambda is a serverless self-managed service. Okay? I am also using Python. I have written some Python Boto3 script to provision resources to AWS, such as EC2 instances, RDS database, EBS volumes, etc., etc. Right? But please note here, I used to run these scripts manually via CLI or using GitLab or GitHub pipelines. But today, I am leveraging Lambda to have Lambda execute and trigger these scripts automatically for me. Okay? So keep in mind, the goal here is not only to leverage infrastructure as a code, but to also automate the entire process. Okay? Here, I am using Amazon DynamoDB. That's where the user's information and artifacts reside. Okay? And then on the front end here, I am using Angular web framework as well as AWS Amplify. Now let's dive in. I'm going to pause here for a second till I enter my user ID and password. Okay, once I am logged in, I see my dashboard and the menu on the left side here. So what I've done here, I categorized the menu by sections based on each task that we are trying to perform. Here are just miscellaneous because this is the first thing we need to do is to link this application with your AWS account, which I'll show you in a second. You can manage users, manage tags, and here infrastructure as a code. Basically, I'm going to be provisioning EC2 instances or AMIs, or I want to provision RDS databases and so forth. Okay, and here I call this section FinOps basically because it helps me to get a cost of an account per region. As I have listed here, I can get like show me all the unattached EBS volumes. This is important because if an EBS volume is not attached to an EC2 instance, that means you're sitting there collecting money and we're paying money to AWS for nothing. I mean, we're talking, imagine if you have 20, 30, 40 AWS accounts, you put all that together. I've seen, when I run this report, I've seen 500, 600, even 1,000 EBS volumes are sitting there collecting money for something that we're not even using. Okay. Here, this is a good one too, which I'll go over in a second. EC2 metrics. This is something that I've seen because this is I integrated CloudWatch here, but the challenge with CloudWatch, it only gives you, I believe, CPU metrics only. It does not give you memory and storage. But there is a workaround which I did. It's a CloudWatch add-on that I've integrated with this option in order to get metrics for storage and memory. All right. So first thing we need to do is to once you log in successfully, first thing you need to do is to establish connection between your AWS account to this app. So I come down here, a link account to C24, which stands for Cloud247. Okay. So here, these are all my accounts that I already established. These are real accounts that my test account. I call them one stage dev. This is a Cloud247 sandbox. So that's the first thing we need to establish, because in order to generate report or provision EC2 instance or RDS database, we need to tell the app which accounts we're going to be provisioning those resources to. Okay. Now let's go over briefly how we can securely establish connection between this app, Cloud247, to your AWS account. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on Add Account. And right away here, you see I need the account name and also account number, right? Your AWS account number. But here's the crucial part, this one here, AWS role. You're going to create a role on your account, okay? And you're going to provide me with your role name as well as external ID, okay? So this is very crucial. This is the external ID. Actually, let me do this. I googled the external AWS external ID, and let me share with you exactly what external ID means. So it is a unique identifier used to further secure cross-account access when a third-party service, such as Cloud247 or another AWS account, needs to assume role in your account, right? Essentially acting as a verification check to ensure only the intended entity can utilize the role. Okay, so basically we're going to provide this application with the account, the role name, external ID, in order to for this application to establish a secured connection to your AWS account. So this way you can you'll be able to leverage this application to provision resources, to do some FinOps tasks, all that good stuff. Okay. By the way, this is the same concept a lot of major vendors such as Datadog, Cloud Health, CloudFix, they leverage this concept with the creation of role and external ID in order to establish connection between their UI application to your AWS accounts. This is the most reliable and secured way to have a third-party application to access your account. But even this is another very critical item. You can create a role in such a way that you cannot give full access to your AWS account, right? You don't want to give the keys to the kingdom, if you will, to a third-party vendor that they can have full access to your AWS account. That's a no-no, right? You want to give them only what their application is trying to do, right? So I want to get like a read access, so I can read if I click on resource count, so I can get count resources, how many EC2 instances I have, how many RDS database, CloudFront, and basically all the resources within your account, within your region. I need access only to provision RDS database, nothing else, right? Only to provision EC2 instances. So despite the fact you're giving me access to your account, but you are not giving me a full admin access. So everything has to be limited by policy within the role. Okay, now we're going to provision an EC2 instance to AWS. So I can show you how quickly we're gonna create an EC2 instance without a single line of code. Okay, so I'm gonna go to a section under infrastructure as a code here and click on provision EC2 instance and AMI. We're gonna do just EC2 instance right now. I'm gonna go to Cloud247, which is my playground, and let this paint, so should bring me the list in a second. Here we go. I see how many instances I have: 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And if I go to my account, this is my personal account, I see right there it says 7 instances, right? I have 1 running and all of them are stops. I use some of these instances for just POCs. When I'm done, I stop them, otherwise I will incur cost. Right now I only have 1 running, so it says here test agent with metrics POC. I'm going to show you this in a second, because this instance I had to add a CloudWatch agent and also an add-on in order to get not only CPU metrics but CPU memory as well as storage. I'll go over that in a second. So right now I just want to show you we have all the instances on my account, and they are displayed on the dashboard as well. Okay, and as you can see, here's the metric that is running. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start the process. add EC2 instance here. Okay, now you're prompted with the EC2 template. Basically, you're gonna enter some parameters such as the size of the EC2 instance. You want it to be encrypted, yes, no, things like that. So let's start from the top. Here it tells me which region. I'm gonna use US East 1. Okay, and then subnet. So I'm assuming you already have the VPC subnet security group already deployed. Otherwise, you're gonna have to do that first before you start the process here in order to create EC2 instance, because EC2 instance needs a subnet security group. You will just grab security group based on your requirement, right? Key pair, same thing. You gotta have a key pair already created. So I'll just grab that. And here, EC2 instance name. I'm just gonna say EC2 POC. Okay. And here, this is what you want to select, which image based on your requirement, your application. Is it a Windows based? Is it Linux based? I'm just going to go ahead and use an AMI that is Linux based. I believe this is Ubuntu, but you have the choice. You go to EC2 the dashboard, and you pick which AMIs. It's the same thing as if you create EC2 instance on the console. So you pick exactly which AMI. Is it EC2? Is it Linux based? Is it Windows based? If it's Linux, Ubuntu, Red Hat. Now you pick which flavor you want to create your EC2 instance based on. Okay, here I'm just going to use the type. This is the size. I don't want to go crazy because I get charged too much. So I'm just going to say T2 micro. Just because this is just a quick POC. Volume, this is, you pick the volume that's you want to choose which volume you want. You have the choice. It's the same volume options you have whether you're doing this from the app or from the console. Volume size, this is actually the root size, because when you create EC2 instance, the root volume it get created by default, so we're not attaching an extra EBS. This is the root volume, so I'm just gonna use 10 gig for now. And you want the EBS volume encrypted, yes or no? I'm gonna say yes. This is really a part that a lot of folks they miss, because I've seen a lot of clients, I don't need to mention the names, that where they build EC2 instances or excuse me, or just resources in general, they tend to forget tags. Very, very crucial, because without tag, I won't be able to generate a proper report. I work a lot with CFOs and financial team, and if you need certain report based on a criteria, then if the resource is not tagged properly, you won't be able to build those reports accordingly. So you definitely need to make sure to put the tags properly. For instance, I'm just going to call this team. Okay, so DevOps team. This belongs to DevOps team, right? Owner. I can just say, Abdel. This is, I own this EC2 instance. Basically, you can add as many tags as you want, and this is really helps, because if I'm going to create, like let's say I was saying, create a report. Okay, give me the list of EC2 instances that belongs to HR, belongs to DevOps, belongs to finance or security, right? So I need something to qualify my report, such as a value here, DevOps, or this, if this was for HR, I have to qualify by HR. So it helped me. It will help me to generate reports accordingly. Okay, it's very important. So that's basically it. I mean, you fill out the form, and everything looks good. You go ahead and create EC2 instance. Okay, a success message here. So it is creating the instance as we speak. So now I'm going to go to my AWS account and to verify whether my EC2 instance has been created. Okay, so let me go back to my account here. Obviously, we're not going to see it right away. I do need to refresh. And then I should see, here we go, it says initializing. You see that? And here is my EC2 POC that I called it EC2 POC, okay? And I added some tags, right? I'm going to go to tags and see, okay, Abdel, the name of the EC2 POC, and the team DevOps. That's exactly what I've just done through the UI dashboard, and it reflects the same parameters. Everything looks good. So my EC2 instance is getting created as we speak. So it'll take a minute or so because right now it's initializing. I'm just going to pause for a second and get back in a minute, and then we go from there. Okay, it looks like it has been initialized and is running successfully as we speak. Here it is, EC2 POC, right? Let's inspect a couple things. Remember, we did the tags out there, EC2 DevOps. Let's see what else I want to inspect here. Remember, I had to use key pair. I called it Ansible key pair, I believe. Here we go, Ansible key pair. And I use an EMI, and I don't recall if that EMI is Ubuntu or here we go. It says Amazon Ubuntu. Okay, this is EMI location there. That's basically the EMI. It's Ubuntu based. Okay, it is Linux, as you can see here. It's Linux. The EMI image again. So it says Ubuntu. So it is an Ubuntu instance. Okay. So everything looks good exactly based on the parameters that we put in here when we create the EC2 instance. Everything looks good. Okay. So here's my EC2 POC instance. As you can see, we were able to create it in less than 2 minutes. I mean, basically on the fly, right? And without a single line of code. We didn't have to write a Terraform code. We didn't have to write a Python. We didn't have to go CloudFormation, what have you. None of that, right? Because my app is already has the code already built in within the Lambda function. Because as soon as I clicked on EC2 creation, here it triggers Lambda, and Lambda will find the right Python script to create EC2 instance for me. So the whole entire process is done without a single line of code, less than 2 minutes. Here's another task we can automate. We can automate the creation of EMIs. Automating EMI creation is crucial for maintaining consistency, improving efficiency, reducing manual work, and also enables rapid deployment by standardizing and pre-configuring server images with the latest security updates and patches. Okay? So when your team members need an EC2 instance, they don't need to be concerned as to how or whether a new EC2 instance is secure and has all the security control. Why? Because if they create an EC2 instance from an AMI, this EMI already has the security control installed and pre-configured. Therefore, that EC2 instance they're going to create from the AMI, it by default is going to be secured because now the EC2 instance has every security control that AMI has, because it inherited all the security controls from the AMI, right? Some of the security agents that I've seen some shops use, such as IBM Curator, Qualys, even AWS Inspector, and so on and so forth. These agents, they periodically scan your EC2 instances for any potential security holes, viruses, and things that they can harm your server. Okay. So this process eliminates the need to manually configure each instance every time you need to spin up a new server. Okay, let's create an AMI instance right from this EC2 instance we just created a minute ago. Okay, but before we do that, we need to make sure this EC2 instance has all the security controls installed and pre-configured before we proceed. Okay, so we have to communicate with the security team and ask them to please install that security agent before we create the AMI. So the security agent could be curator, could be Qualys, could be inspector, could be any agent. But let's just assume the security team already installed the agent here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create an AMI instance right now. So I'm going to say this is an AMI that belongs to DevOps. Okay, and here it would be nice to say this AMI is Linux based, and which flavor it is, Ubuntu, right? It's really great to put a appropriate prefix this way, because we're gonna have a repository of lots of AMIs, right? Some of them they're gonna be Windows based, some of them they're gonna be Linux based. If it's Linux, is it Ubuntu, is it Red Hat? This way, whomever is gonna be utilizing that AMI, they can pick it up quickly. Okay, and then the owner, we're gonna say Mike Cloud247. Oops, what am I doing? Mike Cloud247. I think I have my num locked. There's not. Okay, here we go. We put his email, and here we put a date, February 2nd. So I usually do my date this way. FAB25, February 6, 2024. Okay, now we are ready to create AMI instance. Let's do that. Okay, looks like AMI creation is completed successfully. Let's go back to our account and validate that. So I am in an instance dashboard. Let's go to AMIs, and here it is, AMI DevOps. And let's see what else. It's a Linux, and it looks good. Everything's there. So we have the AMI has been created successfully. And let's take a look at the text that I applied. Here we go, Mike at Cloud.app. The dates, AMI, this AMI is Linux Ubuntu based, and the name AMI DevOps. So we have an AMI that has been created successfully. Everything looks good. Okay, this concludes my demo. In part 2, I will go over this section, FinOps section, which we can leverage for cost optimization. Okay, as you can see here, I already added some modules that can help us inspect resources within our environment. It could be within one region or across all regions. For example, if I click on resource count here, this will generate reports for me that has total count of EC2 instances, total count of RDS databases, EBS volumes, etc., etc. Okay? And if I click on account cost, this will generate a monthly billing reports for me based on all the resources I am using within a region. And if I click on unattached EBS volumes, this will generate a report for me of all unattached EBS volumes within a region or across all regions. Why do we need to know how many unattached EBS volumes, you may ask? Well, unattached volume means it is not attached to an EC2 instance, which means it is not being used by any EC2 instance, which means it is incurring cost on a daily basis. Basically, we are paying AWS for resources we are not utilizing. In one of my projects, I've seen over 500 unattached EBS volumes, which were costing the company thousands and thousands of dollars. So what I did, I backed them up, then I terminated all these unattached EBS volumes, so to save cost. Last item here, EC2 metrics. In this module, I'm using CloudWatch, but the challenge here is CloudWatch generates only CPU metrics. So I had to add a CloudWatch add-on in order to generate metrics for memory as well as disk storage. I will go over everything on my next demo in part 2. Thank you for watching this brief demo, and please leave a comment, question, or if you have any suggestion that can help us enhance this app further, I would really appreciate it. Thank you.